Ryan Glover. In this video, I wanted to do about Ice Spice. Her breakout success came in 2022 with the song Munch. And, she's been able to capitalize like what could have been a one-hit wonder. She's like, had some success, like, collaborations with Nicki Minaj that, reached Billboard and like, her other songs. And tremendous like talent. I feel like, Ice Spice, like, I feel like she's a really good artist. But one of the things that like I would say about Ice Spice is the fact that a lot of times people kind of give pretty privilege. Like if she wasn't attractive, like would Ice Spice be like, a successful artist? Like, I think like, that's definitely something to ask the question. But one of the things that has happened recently to Ice Spice is that she's lost 540,000 Instagram followers. She's been losing followers. So there's a lot of theories about like why she's losing so many followers. One of the theories, like, which is like the most common explanation, is that these are bots and she's losing the followers. She's not only losing followers on Instagram, but Spotify as well. And if these are bots, they're not real people. Like that happens a lot on Instagram, Twitter, like social media is full of bots. I think like, these companies would do something about it to get rid of like, these bots. I know Instagram has like, been removing like, bots from people's accounts. And so like if that is the case, like, I think that's a good thing. Obviously people want to engage with real people, not computers. Or the other explanation is that she's been shown like showing satanic gestures a number of times. It was a video that went viral, like, where she was doing a prayer like with a streamer. Ice Spice has denied these allegations of being like, part of the Illuminati, but she does like, make these hand gestures of like, I don't know if she's trying to be cool, like, or she actually is like, trying to like align herself with witchcraft. I think this was an argument like at the Super Bowl or something, like, where she was doing something similar. And obviously like, satanic imagery, like, of artists, like, those videos, I don't know, like at this point, like, or some of like, artists involved in witchcraft or the occult, there's an argument for that. I've watched like, interviews like, with people in the past, like, John Todd, he was like, I think like the first person like back in the day who would talk about like, how artists like, practice witchcraft and their wishes, and like, in order to be a signed artist, they have to sell their soul. And like, the purpose of music is like, to get artists like, to play spells on themselves. And, I think like for a lot of people that seems a little far-fetched, but it's also odd, like, after a prayer, like, that you would make like a sign that is like associated with satanic imagery. But like, also that could be a way of trolling. I think like a lot of artists sometimes and stuff do that to troll, so people talk about them. And maybe that has turned some people off, like, because like people, like, obviously like we live in a Christian nation, and I think like a lot of people aren't into worshiping the devil. I think like some people may think that's a cool thing, but like it's not. Like, I think real witchcraft obviously is very dangerous, and anybody that leads you to demonic ideas. But I don't think that's what it is. Like, why Spice is losing the followers. The other theory, which is like, plausible, is that Ice Spice has lost a lot of weight recently. And, one of the reasons for her popularity is the fact, like, she had a fatty, like, let's keep it real, like, and stuff. People like, enjoy to see her twerk and like, her new body shape because she's losing weight. Maybe like, some of her fans, like, aren't feeling it. And she's going for like a more ideal version. A lot of people were saying that she was using Ozempic, and she posted like a workout video to kind of quell those rumors. Regardless, like, I think like no one should be shamed for their body type. And like we see that all the time on social media. I feel like, we live in a age of like, social media where anyone can critique and make negative comments. And I think it must be really hard for women, particularly female music artists. And I think like, one of the things like, that I will notice in hip hop is that a lot of artists like, rely on selling the sexuality, and Ice Spice obviously has played into that. You know, that's one of my main criticisms of her, though, is that like I feel like she hasn't shown like a whole lot of diversity in her music. I feel like she pretty much like shows that like that's all that she could do is twerk. I haven't really heard like a lot more introspective records that I was impressed by from her. I think I would like to see like I think like that's the mark of a true artist. Someone like Nicki Minaj, like, where they're able to pen records where, like, it can reach, like, a number of different people besides, like, the radio stuff. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like, Ice Spice is a credible artist. She's one of the most streamed artists of all time. She has streams in the billions. I'm sure, like, her success, like, will continue in music. But I think, like, the reason that she's losing followers, like, we may not really know the answer, but let me know in the comments if you're still feeling Ice Spice music. Like, why do you think she's being unfollowed? And how do you feel about, like, her recent weight loss? Do you feel like, that makes you like want to like see her videos less because like she's not as thick as she once was, and she's going for like a more idolized version of beauty? Or like do you feel like that doesn't matter? I mean, because she's still a pretty girl, obviously. And then like do you feel like her music, like do you feel like there's growth in it, like from Munch? Have you been impressed by the records that she's done and put out since then? Do you feel like that her time as a rapper, like she's no longer as hot as she was, like she's getting cold? Because that happens, like I think like the shelf life of rappers isn't very long. There's very few rappers that have had longevity. Obviously no one lasts forever, and like she was able to capitalize on Munch, but like I really couldn't tell you like a whole bunch of Ice Spice songs that I was like impressed by, like since she dropped Munch. And like I think like that says a lot, like that her first single is the most memorable song, like that she's done, and that happened 2 years ago. 2022 is 2024, and even though she's gotten billions of streams, I mean, I think that goes to being able to have a good team. Obviously she's affiliated with James Roseman, Jimmy Roseman's son. He was a little kid who was attacked by Tony Yayo. And like, that's a connection to the music industry. So the arguments of her being an industry plant, I don't know, but like, I think like, obviously like, someone who has like, that network obviously was able to capitalize on a hot song like Munch, and maybe that has fizzled out. And like people are kind of like, starting to see that she's kind of a one-trick pony. She doesn't really have a whole lot to offer besides like, the twerking Miss Music and like, Miss Poopy, like, which I thought was like ridiculous. And like, obviously I'm not a kid, but like, I think like, that's obviously like a disgusting brand, and like, why would anyone want to associate with that? But like, I mean, that's cool. Obviously kids and stuff gravitate toward her. She still has streams, and who am I? But like, I don't see like a whole lot of versatility with her as an artist. And I think Drake said it best, man. She's a dime, trying to rap, and like, at least she is a dime, at least she was called that. But she seems like, a nice person, but like, I would like to wonder why she throws the satanic gestures. And like, I don't think like, witchcraft is something that people should want to play with. And I think like, that people should put Jesus Christ first in their life. Like, a lot of artists and stuff need Jesus. And like, I would like to see like that promoted more. And like, sincerity as opposed to, promoting the devil. And I think like, Ice Spice and stuff like, could probably like, learn to, obviously like people keep their religious views to themselves. I'm sure she'll do an interview probably at some point and stuff and everything addressing all of that. But, people get turned off by stuff like that. And I wouldn't like, expect people to support like, Satanism. But like, obviously there's artists like Lil Uzi Vert who are successful and have made that like, a way of life, like, supporting darkness. But I really think like, she's losing those followers because of bots. I think like, a lot of artists and stuff like, don't really have like, the real fans, like, you know, it's pretty much their bond, like, you know, marketing, like, you know, the industry is made out of payola. But let me know in your comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Ryan Glover 187, TikTok, Ryan Glover 18. Subscribe, like, comment, and share on my YouTube channel, Ryan Glover 5129.